they teach you, they train you in the military to, the number one thing you focus on is the mission, right? So that's the only thing that you think about the time. You don't think about, okay, am I going to get shot today? Am I going to get blown up? Am I going to die? If you think like that when you're out there in the field, or out there, basically where the bad guys are, if you feel like that, you are going to get yourself killed, and you're going to get your guys killed. So the only thing you're thinking about is, how am I going to complete this mission the safest way possible without my guys getting killed or my guys getting hurt.
For listening today. My name is Kagan Henson with BriteBee, and today on The Person Behind the Professional, we are excited to be talking to David Vo with Farmers Insurance in Arlington, Texas. David has been in insurance for over 2 years, but before that served in the Army for 5 years, where he was stationed in places like Germany and Afghanistan. David, thank you so much for being here today and for your service. We're grateful to have you.
Well, thanks so much, Keegan. I appreciate that. Definitely glad to be here.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know we had a little bit of some technical problems here, but we've worked through those, and I appreciate your patience there. But I want to talk to you. Just let's dive into this idea of where you've come from. I know you've been in insurance, but I want to hear the backstory, where you came from and why insurance.
Okay, so it's kind of a long story. So basically, my mom and my uncle were like one of the first, Vietnamese. My background is Vietnamese, by the way. So my uncle, and my mom were both. Well, my uncle's a farmer's insurance agent back in the 80s and 90s. He passed away, late 90s. And my mom was an Allstate agent during the same period of time. And she actually got out of insurance and started doing a different thing. And she actually works for me now. So insurance has kind of always been on my my radar. But the rest of my family is actually in IT. So my father, my brother, my cousins are all programmers, database guys, and I tried to do that out of high school, and I got my certifications, did all that good stuff, and I figured this is not for me, and so immediately after that, after working making $40,000 a year, doing network administration. I jumped straight into sales. So I jumped into cell phone sales. Did that for about 3 years. Really enjoyed it. Commission only. I was the guy at the mall that would try to sell you back when it was T-Mobile, Singular, AT&T, and it was a commission only job based in the mall. Then I went across the street, worked at a Singular exclusive Singular store, commission only, making about $60,000 or $70,000 my first year, and I was 19, 20 years old, so it was a lot of money for me.
You were doing great. You were living it up.
Yeah, so and after that, I was like, you know what? I'm never going to do anything else besides sales. And from there, I actually moved into car sales. I worked for Volkswagen for about 3 years after that. And then, in my whole life, I've always wanted to be in the military, to serve my country. And, I had the opportunity after the recession hit. The car business wasn't so good. Started working for like Time Warner, doing inbound sales. Really didn't like it a lot, so I decided I was like, you know what, I'm 25. I've been wanting to join the military. I don't have any kids right now, no wife, no girlfriend. Now is the perfect time to join, and this is kind of the height of the push into Afghanistan. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and just take the plunge. So I signed up September of 2009. I did all my contracts, everything like that, and I shipped out January 9th of 2010 to boot camp. And I did, it's funny because my profession, had nothing to do with anything else. Before that, I was actually an infantry guy. So I was the frontline guy, and the in the military. So kind of a different experience than what I did before. Did that for about 5 years.
Wow. So can you tell us a little bit more? I don't know how much you want to or can go into detail, but can you tell us a little bit more about how you served and what you did in Germany, Afghanistan?
Okay, so my first duty station was Germany, and basically that was this staging area to basically get ready for deployments, right? So each unit in the military deploys on a rotational basis. Okay, so the unit I was part of, we were set to deploy in 2011. So I got out of basic training. So I went into basic training in January, got out in April, took about 2 weeks of leave to go back home, then proceeded to Germany. So we had about 6 months of training, I guess. I mean, we had trained in the basic training, but 6 months of actual unit training to get ready for deployment, to get ready for the mountainous environments, the cold weather, that kind of thing. We went to some different locations to actually do some live fire training, things like that, simulation type training. Once in Afghanistan, we got there in February of 2011. I was stationed in northern Afghanistan, infantry, like I said, infantry unit, and our job there was basically to, our initial job there was basically to find the Taliban, find the hiding areas, basically clear. We had the main base, and we had a few checkpoints that we would man, deep in the heart of the city, where most of the Taliban and the fighters were, and we would basically set up camp there, to kind of deter the Taliban from attacking the villagers. And we actually had to do a lot of political work, per se, making sure that the villagers knew that we were there to help them and to relay information to us to help us target these, high value targets, these people that were trying to terrorize, the communities. Because a lot of times they would set bombs in the road. There were several, they call them IEDs. So there's several IEDs that were set in the roads, and children were playing there. So our job was basically to tell the locals, hey, let us know where these IEDs are, so that your family's not going to get killed when you're driving down the road or walking on the road, and to be to kind of stabilize the area. So we actually achieved that. We the first part of the mission, we achieved that. We stabilized the area. We got rid of a lot of Taliban. We pushed them back up north. And then the second part of our mission, I guess they call it Operation Enduring Freedom, when Obama was in office, was to actually train and to kind of instill our values and our rule of law, our training onto the Afghan National Police, right? So we were trying to basically replace ourselves with them, right? So we were training them up to basically do our job when we were gone, okay? Because that was at the point where we were trying to get ourselves out of Afghanistan.
Right.
So we did a lot of training classes and things like that. And I can't go too much into it. We did get into several firefights, and we did get, a few of our vehicles did get hit with IEDs, some pretty large ones, and we had a few attacks on base and things like that. So can't get too much in detail about that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you giving that much detail. Well, it sounds like this was maybe a little bit more challenging than selling some cell phones. I mean, you were literally selling yourself, trying to say, "Hey, look, we're here to protect you, to help you."
Yes.
So don't hurt us, right?
Yep, that's basically the gist of it. And a lot of, we met with a lot of, I was fortunate because I was infantry guy, but I was actually I was infantry guy, but I was also secondary tasked as the intelligence gatherer, intelligence officer, if you will. So over there, it's kind of like, I can't get too much detail, but basically gathering intelligence through locals, talking to local leaders, talking to the local militia that did not want Taliban there. Yeah. So there was a lot of that, a lot of meetings, high level meetings with like government officials, the mayor, the governor, things like that, high ranking generals. So I had a lot of opportunities to meet high level officials with my commander over there and gather intelligence, create reports, and that way we kind of had some actual intelligence to act on these missions, if you will,
right?
To basically take the fight to them instead of them take the fight to us. If that makes sense.
I'll say this: it makes sense to a point. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I just can't even imagine what you're thinking through all of this time, what's going on through your mind, what's going on in other people's minds. The risk that you took, is something kind of it passes what I can understand, if that makes sense.
Sure.
I think for a lot of people, if you haven't experienced that, it's hard to understand.
Definitely.
What would you say was going through your mind? I mean, when you're thinking about IEDs and attacks and gathering intelligence, first off, it sounds really cool, but we know that can be dangerous as well. So with all that being said, what was going on in your mind at that time?
Well, at the time, you really don't think about that kind of stuff, Keegan. You really your mind. They teach you, they train you in the military to the number one thing you focus on is the mission, right? So
Right.
that's the only thing that you think about at the time. You don't think about, okay, am I going to get shot today? Am I going to get blown up? Am I going to die? Because if you think like that when you're out there in the field or out there, basically where the bad guys are, if you feel like that, you are going to get yourself killed. And you're
Right.
going to get your guys killed. So the only thing you're thinking about is how am I going to complete this mission the safest way possible without my guys getting killed or my guys getting hurt. Because really, being there, I was there the full year, right? So we were there for one full year. So we had a lot of privates and stuff that came in from basic training a little bit later during deployment. So they came in halfway during deployment. So it was my job to make sure that they were okay, right?
Right.
So we were basically, we had more experience, than these guys coming in. These brand new guys are 20 years old, 21 years old. I was a little older, so my level-headedness being there for 6 months already helped out a lot. So we had to basically keep our cool and make sure that even if everything was going bad, I mean it was back better terms, just the feces hitting the fan, right? Even if that happens, you have to maintain your cool, because if you do not, then you more likely will die, or you will get severely injured. And you also got to, I was in charge of 4 guys, the team leader, so I was in charge of 4 guys, and their lives were in my hands, so I had to make sure that they did what they were supposed to do, and I had to make sure that they were capable of doing what they were supposed to do, and they wouldn't freeze up, right? If something were to happen. There was a couple instances where things did happen, and I had to kind of take initiative and things like that. But good thing is I personally didn't lose any of my men. Our unit did lose a few guys, but me personally, I didn't lose any of my guys directly. So I'm very fortunate and happy about that.
Yeah, definitely. So moving back into this insurance thing, I'm assuming that you take growing your agency with a strategic approach.
Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about how you're growing your agency and what your strategic approach is to that.
Okay. So I've been with farmers for going on 2.5 years now, right? So I started technically almost November will be 3 years technically with farmers. Before that was with State Farm for about 2 years. I was a producer for State Farm for 2 years.
Okay.
And I kind of got to see both sides, right? So at State Farm, I was a producer. My only goal was to basically sell, market, acquire new business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it taught me a lot of things, because when I was at the State Farm office, I did not, there was the agent spent a lot of money on advertising, a lot of money on internet leads, things like that. I never really took internet leads because that was really never my forte, right? I've always been the salesperson that's been, face to face, meet with you, sit down, talk to you, kind of go over things like that. So I was in the car business for 3 years, so a lot of it was consultative selling, right? So what I did, and when I learned this from State Farm, was the best method was for referrals, and that sounds cliche, but it really is. Referrals was the best way to obtain new business. So what I would do is I would go around. I started with my friends and family. Obviously, that's what most people do. And from there, you build your confidence, right? And you start targeting. I say targeting like I'm still in the military, but you start finding clients, and you get referrals. And from these referrals, it's kind of like a domino effect, right? You get one client, you save them some money, you help them out, they love you. You ask them for 4 or 5 referrals. They give you 4 or 5 referrals. You help those, maybe out of the four referrals you get, maybe you can help 2 or 3 of them. And from there, you keep asking for more referrals. So constantly got referrals. On average, I would probably, for each sale, I would get at least 3 referrals from each sale I did. And out of those referrals that I got, I would at least say I got 3. I would at least get 50% of the referrals that actually get their business, right?
Yeah, that's a good ratio.
Yeah, it's a good ratio, and I was very fortunate. And the reason I think that I was successful with that, because there was other guys that were there longer than me, but I put up more numbers than they did. I used to, when I first started, I became the number one. State Farm had a program called the Aspirin program. Aspiring to be an agent. They had a program for all the guys at DFW, and my first 2 months, I became, right out of the military, I was already number one in the DFW area, right?
Yeah.
So these are guys that have been doing it for a while. And my trick was that I would not do stuff over the phone. Every single appointment I had, I would do it face to face. Sit down with the client, talk to them like a human being instead of trying to sell them over the phone. Sure. I don't like some. And I take that same concept over here with me now. On top of that, more the marketing side, I would get a referral, and I'll meet with the referral, and I basically would find out what's made that particular referral want to do business with me, right? So A good example of that is I come from a Vietnamese background, okay? So I speak Vietnamese. I'm not 100% fluent. I'm better than conversational, so get my point across with my clients. But the big portion of my clientele is not Vietnamese. It's a mixture. And what I did was I actually found a lot of niche markets, right? So a lot of these producers or agents would not be they'd be focusing on the multi-million-dollar households or the typical American consumer, right?
Right.
Well, I was finding clients of Burmese descent. I was finding clients of Laotian descent, Somalian, Nigerian, just finding these little niche market Nepalese. And I was finding these people because I was actually going out marketing to businesses. And for example, I used to go to gas stations a lot, and I would try to get the gas station business. And if the owner wasn't there, then I would speak to the clerk behind the counter, and I would sell them insurance. And a lot of times these clerks were from Nepal or from India or wherever the case is.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, hey, well, the owner's not here, but how about I give you a quote? Let's see if I can save you some money. And a lot of times people don't do that. And I built up a very niche market from that. And so at State Farm, the 2 years I was there, I averaged about 100 policies a month myself, right?
Wow.
And took the same mindset and brought it over here to farmers. And I still, to this day, have a lot of clients from State Farm that call me, right? And they're like, hey, where'd you go? I was like, I opened my own agency up, and they bring all their people there and get referrals going on. We take care of people. We kind of go the extra mile for clients, especially the ones that are like, the Burmese or just came over here from Syria or Iraq, or whatever the case is. I try to help them do things that aren't really necessarily insurance related, right? So a good example would be, they may not know how to do like the Homestead Act, make sure that their home's safe from the homestead, or maybe they don't know how to get a lawyer for this type of thing. So I'll, okay, well, I can help you find a lawyer and talk to this person. Just kind of help them, walk them through different things that most Americans take for granted, right?
Sure.
So they may not know what to do, but me personally, and I make sure my staff does the same thing, is go the extra mile for our customers, right? We make sure that they're taken care of, that they need anything, that we're here for them. Now, obviously, we don't make any money off of that, but it makes them feel like, hey, we can talk to David Vo or his staff, and they're going to really get to take care of us.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I feel that's really been a big part of our success.
Well,
so we take the same concepts and brought it over to farmers.
Yeah, I mean, you're taking things from all of your experience. I mean, from selling phones but also from the military, and really putting it into this consumer service environment, which is pretty neat. So I feel like you get the best of both worlds.
Absolutely, I agree. It's very rewarding because I got into insurance too. 'Cause, to be honest with you, when I first got out, I've always been a very big financial guy. I've always been a big stock market, you know, invest in derivatives, stocks, mutual funds, that kind of thing. And that's kind of was my goal, was to actually be a stockbroker or a financial analyst, right? So I got a degree in finance through the military, and I was that's kind of what I wanted to do, and so I started uh, looking at some different things, and I found out, okay, well, insurance is pretty related to that, especially with State Farm. They have able to build some mutual funds and IRAs, those kind of things. And so I was like, okay, well, it's a good transition. So then I can start with that, and then later on I can go into Goldman Sachs or whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
That's the that's the go-to, right?
Right.
The investment world.
Yeah.
But after a while, I realized, like, hey, as an agent, you know, I can make the same kind of money these guys make and work a lot less. In the sense that it's weird because the harder you work with those kind of companies, like the Goldman Sachs, J.P. Morgans, the harder you work early on, the more you're going to work, the more stress, the more you're going to work later on in life. Versus insurance, the harder you work in the beginning, the less you're going to work as you get bigger, because you have staff for that.
Sure. So what would you say your goal or mission with your agency? What do you hope to accomplish in, let's say, the next 5 years?
Okay, so what I hope to accomplish, really, Keegan, is basically to be the go-to guy for all our insurances. Obviously, that's what everyone's going to say, right? But also to grow our policies in force. So right now so we started as a scratch agency. So we've been in business for a little bit over about 2.5 years, right? And right now we have about 2,400 policies. So we've grown about 1,000 policies a year.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you. So my goal in 5 years is to have about 7,000 policies in force. Okay, which I think that's very doable, because we're consistent with what we do, or numbers wise. We're consistently the number one producing agency in our district, and our district is the largest district in the country.
Wow.
The number one district, and also, I don't know, the largest district, but the number one district in the country. So I have a great district manager. Him and his staff have helped us along the way, but we're trying to be, have about 6 or 7,000 policies in force, as well as being the number one life producing agency for farmers in Texas as well. That's my 3-year goal.
Yeah, I saw that top life sales, so congratulations on that. That's great, and to have that so early into the game, that's phenomenal. So what products and other companies do you offer at your agency?
So Farmers really does. We strictly do farmers, and we do have a company called Craft Lake that Farmers owns, and it's almost kind of like an independent agency, right? So they offer, if we can't write it through Farmers or through one of our companies, we can go through Craft Lake, and they basically shop different carriers for us. So we're able to write general contractors, right, through Hartford or through BTIS, things like that. So really we offer, Farmers offers auto, home, life, umbrella, commercial, pet insurance, credit cards, especially so your boats, jet skis, things like that, motorcycles. So we basically offer a wide range. The only thing we don't offer is health insurance. That's the one thing we don't offer.
Gotcha. So we're about out of time, and what we always like to do is make sure that our consumers and other people who are listening can take away 5 key takeaways from you. So what would those 5 key takeaways be if you were talking to our consumers?
Okay, so being in the military really opened my eyes to really just kind of it's going to sound cliche, but stop at some of the roses, because that's really helped me a lot. It's really helped me appreciate life in general, and I think that's a big part of our success, is realizing the small things in life are not as anywhere near the things that could happen to you, right?
Right.
So sometimes people feel really bad, like, oh, I've had a really bad day, but I can guarantee you it's nothing compared to, getting worried about getting blown up by an IED.
Right.
So that's the thing I think about every single day. So there's days where I have a bad day and I just look back like, David, it could be a lot worse. I could be getting shot at right now or getting blown up.
Right.
So that's one key takeaway. Second key takeaway would be, treat not just not just people around you, but your staff or everybody. Treat them with respect. Treat everybody how you want to be treated. I've been very fortunate because my staff, I have probably the greatest staff in the world, because they really care about the business, right? They care about the business almost as much as I care about the business. And I've been so lucky, and the reason I think it's part of that is because I treat them like human beings. I reward them for doing good work, and I make sure that they know, hey, you did a great job. Thank you so much, and I'll take on trips or whatnot. That's another key takeaway for me. Just treat the staff and people in general with kindness. And also it goes back to selling, right? You never know who you're going to be on the street. Be kind to everybody you can, and hey, maybe one day they'll be your client, or one day they'll be a good connection for you.
Definitely.
Right? So that's a big thing for me. And also, another big thing I realized recently is money is not everything, right? You can make all the money in the world, but you can be the most miserable person in the world. So value your time with your family. I have 2 little boys, and they're just my my light. I just every minute I'm around them, it just makes me happy.
What age are
I can
they?
have. Oh, so my oldest is 3,
Okay.
and my youngest will be 2 next month.
All right, man. Mama is busy right now.
Yeah.
I've got a 5 and a 2-year-old, so I understand.
So you understand, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And they're both boys. So.
Yes, I have 2 boys too. So
Yeah, so that's awesome. And and just enjoy life. I mean, really, we're here for a limited period of time. I mean, it's inevitable, right? Death and taxes are the 2 things that are certain things in life. Just
that
enjoy
is very
life
true.
and enjoy life. And I mean, there's so much to appreciate about our life. It's not just being in the U.S., but just being alive. At this time with this technology. I mean, 30, 40 years ago, you and I would be having this conversation via podcast, right? That would be non-existent.
Right.
But we live in a generation where there's so much advancement, so much cool things that are happening that, by God, I mean, this is probably the best time to be alive right now. There's so much more to see too. I mean, I'm just excited to see where technology is going to lead us in the future, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess my last key takeaway would be, don't take people for granted. Don't take people for granted, because a lot of people, and I've done this before, and I'm guilty of it myself. That's why I can say it. I've taken people for granted in the past when I was younger, and I think about it now. Especially your parents. Like I took my parents for granted a lot, and you don't realize until they're gone, until a family member's gone, that things could have been different if you would have feel better about yourself. I mean, obviously you can't prevent it. You have no way of preventing them from dying, right? But
right.
At least you could value your time with your family, your parents, your loved ones, whatever the case is. So that's a big thing for me. I've really realized that a lot. It's like, value your time. Don't take people for granted. Just live every day like it's your last day, right?
Sometimes we hear that a lot, but unfortunately we don't believe it and we don't live by it. So I think that's great. So if people want to get in touch with you and want to learn more about you, your agency, and maybe how your agency can serve them and maybe their family, what are the best ways to do that?
Okay, so you can reach out to me. My telephone number, my office is 682-219-0239, or they can shoot me an email at D as in David, V as in Victor, O as in Oscar, the number 1, the @ farmers with an S, agent.com. That's the best way to get a hold of me via email.
Great. Well, again, we want to thank you so much for being here, and we want to thank everyone else for listening. I want to remind you just to make sure to subscribe to the podcast and also give a review and tell us what you thought about David Vo. Also, don't forget, if you are looking for insurance quotes that don't sting, make sure to check out BriteBee.com, click Get a Quote, and then search for David Vo, and you will find him there with a great bio and also other information about his agency. We really appreciate you, David, and appreciate your service in the military, and we will talk to everyone very soon.